Welcome back to Empower Your Soul Car Channeling Edition. And I'm actually really excited to be in the car channeling this conversation today because I want to talk about the benefits of reading in different locations. And I'm not talking about demonstrations because those generally have to happen in different locations, especially obviously the in-person ones, but I'm talking about your spiritual readings. Because if you're anything like me, I am a huge creature of habit and I like to be in my environment, in my office, with my lighting a certain way. I like the specific lights on. I like my desk clear. I like my house quiet, right? A lot of times in the winter or 3/4 of the year, I'll have a heat under my butt because I don't even physically like to be cold when I do these readings. And so I control the shit out of my environment for my readings so that I'm minimizing my distractions to enable me to be the best medium, the best spiritual reader, whatever the title is, that I can be. And my team, over the course of the summer, has called me out that this is a crock of shit. So I thought I would enlighten you all on this journey where my team is enlightening me that trying to control my environment has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on my ability to read spirit. It is my freaking problem as a control freak that makes me feel better and keeps my ego in check. That is all this is. So let's talk about this absolute chaotic summer that I've had and how I've had to navigate reading in so many different places, but also at the same time finding huge benefits to getting out of my physical comfort zone. And so I'm going to bring you back, way back to the beginning of the summer. It was week 1 out of school. It was about 100 degrees. It was the first heat wave of the summer. It was way too hot to send my kids to their typical outdoor summer camp. And so we all packed up our stuff, schlepped it out to our little lake house, our 600 square foot bungalow thing. And I had to do several readings that week. I mean, several, way more than I was comfortable with in this tiny 600 square foot house that, mind you, is a living room, a kitchen with a dining room table in it, and 2 tiny bedrooms. Like it's tiny. It's 600 square feet. Like you can't breathe without someone hearing you. That's literally the space. And so in this first week, I was freaking the fuck out that I was going to try to do client readings with my 2 kids there. And I literally had the pep talk with them. I'm like, you're going to be quiet. You can't say a word. You can't walk. You can't get up. Here's your iPad. Here are headphones. Don't talk. Don't say nothing. Right. So because I couldn't control my environment, I felt so uncomfortable doing readings at my lake house because it is not what I was used to. I was used to my office. I was used to not having people home. I'm used to having it quiet, right? Not having my physical space, having all of my metaphysical tools all around me instead of this tiny ass kitchen and sitting at this very uncomfortable dining room table where I physically felt uncomfortable. I felt energetically uncomfortable. And certainly I was kind of partially in mom mode with my kids in the house. And so how did the readings go? They went great. It was fine. Once I was able to connect to spirit, I was able to kind of get out of my head and get out of my own way. And it was fine. But it did take me, I'll be honest with you, a little bit longer to connect in the beginning because I was not comfortable with the current reading situations. I did not want to do my clients disservice. So I wanted to make sure I controlled everything I could in this new environment. Now, what I found was when I tried to replicate my home environment, which I sure as fuck tried really hard to do in this tiny square foot house, it was even more stressful, right? Because I was essentially trying to make it better, but by trying to pay attention to what was off, I was paying more attention to it. And so it was like even worse than if I just like set it up and didn't worry about it. And I know that sounds a little odd, but it was like amplifying the energy that it wasn't what I expected by paying attention to it. And so, those readings went well. It gave me hope that I could probably do this. And it happened a few more times over the course of the summer. I finally got to the point where the kids could kind of walk around a little bit while I was still doing the reading, and I would get a little distracted, but it really wasn't that bad. Did a few channeling practices with friends and clients and everything like that. And so every time I read at the camp, because the kids are always there, while the kids were there, it got easier and easier and easier to not be distracted by them and distracted by the environment that didn't feel as comfortable for me. I was getting more comfortable in my space. But not only that, as it got easier and easier and easier for me, I started noticing more in the environment around me that was part of my readings. So to give an example is, while I was doing a reading, a dragonfly came and landed on my computer one day. And I was like, there's a dragonfly that literally just landed on my computer. And that was the sign from their departed loved one that they associate with this person. And so, and I have, birds in the background making noises and birds, right? So I'm able to start picking up environmental signs and symbols that spirit is sending me, like physical mediumship things that allow me to expand my mindset, my skill set, my reading, and invite a little more magic in from spirit. And I'll tell you what, every time I noticed these things, it landed with my client and they understood it. They were able to take it. And so spirit was really slowly opening me up to this idea that when I control the environment, just like all of us with everything, when we try to control anything with spirit, we're constricting the possibility of more magic. And so they really, really pushed me way the fuck outside of the box this entire summer, because my kids have never been home as much as they have now, which is why I literally am just driving in the car to do these podcast episodes, because I'm going to pull my hair out. And so spirit's showing me I don't need to be stressed about this, because I am able to show up and read spirit in every environment. I need to get out of my own head and out of my own way with it. And I think I'm so in my head about this because the last job I had, you had to be on video every single meeting. And it was a very meeting heavy culture where I was on video from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. every single day. And so with that came the expectation of, you have a nice background set up, you look fresh and you look happy, right? You're sitting up in your chair, you have appropriate lighting. And so I keep approaching my fucking readings like I'm walking into a corporate meeting with everything crystal clean and clear in the background. Now, I think there is a level of professionalism that is needed, I'll give you that. But I don't think my clients care whether I'm sitting in my office or I'm sitting on my dock at the lake house, so long as I'm showing up and being professional and serving their reading to the best of my ability. And not only that, not only the magic that comes in being in these different environments, so long as it's quiet and you can focus, and I'm going to leave that there, I read so much better at my lake house. And I think this is the second half that I wanted to talk about, is because the energy of different places impacts your reading. And the energy of my house is the energy. I don't even know what to say about the energy of my house. It just is what it is. I think it's steady. I think there's good days and bad days there, but generally it's very predictable. I learned my mediumship there. I can do that. But in terms of the lake house, which has the 4 elements there because it's next to the lake, right? We have fire. I usually light a candle. So fire, earth, water, wind, right? I have the 4 elements there. My lake house energy feels fucking magical. right? It's not a place where I've taken corporate calls and meetings. It's not a place where my husband also works, right? And so there is a different energy vibration to my lake house that is much higher frequency than my regular house. And if you just like, even if you don't understand frequency, I want you to think of when you go to places that are vacation destinations, right? When you go to a lake house, when you go to a beach house, when you go to Disney World in Florida, like, okay, there's a lot of people generally. That's a whole other thing. But those energies tend to be higher vibration. They're more exciting. People are happy to be there. People are joyous that they get to celebrate and have time off and be with their family. And so that is the vibration of the lake house, because it is higher vibration, because we go there to have fun. We go there to spend time with family, and we go there to do all of these amazing things. And so naturally, combining the 4 elements with all of the energy of joy and happiness and love makes it a much better place for me to do my readings, even though it looks a little less professional in the background. And so my lovely friend / mentor, like buddy, I don't even know what to call her, but my amazing spiritual guru is the first one to always say, well, did you pay for looks or did you pay for quality? And I'm like, fuck you, you know, like, isn't it true though? Isn't it? Fuck you. And again, I think there's a minimum threshold, a minimum level that it should be, right? I don't think you should be reading in your bedroom, right? Or on your bed. Maybe that's the way I want to put it. But I'm gonna challenge you. Where are some different places you can schlep your laptop, your iPad, your iPhone to do practice readings, to read with clients? And maybe don't throw yourself to the wolves. Like, maybe like do some practice readings in these different locations to get used to it first. But I want you to see how successful you can be. I want you to realize how spirit shows up no matter what. It's you that has the problem with the different space. It's your brain, it's your ego, it's you wanting to control the situation, and spirit literally saying, trust us, we're here. And so I've done that this entire summer, moving back and forth, bringing the laptop back and forth to different houses. God, I even think I've done a couple practice sessions in my car just because I needed the fucking quiet. And so this all culminated into a demonstration that I did this last weekend on a Sunday in the middle of the day. And I'll tell you who was here. So this is at the lake house, 600 square feet, like postage stamp yard. Okay. So had my husband, had my 2 kids, my son had a friend over. So now there's 4 other people there besides me. My in-laws showed up, add 4 more people, right? So now you're talking about 8 people there. And there were 8 people there, and I was presenting in a demonstration to 50 people. Literally me on my laptop. I stacked my laptop on top of the cube. It's like a game, I don't know. Stacked it on top of the cube so that it had a nice little angle and it was looking down, you know, because the camera angle matters, everybody. And I was able to do the best reading I have ever done, the best mediumship demonstration I have ever done in this house with 8 people outside, kids screaming, kids coming in, kids like making popcorn in the middle of this fucking demonstration, coming in using the bathroom. And I was so in my zone and undisturbed by everything around me. And I was getting names, and I was getting fucking amazing evidence, and I was making, you know, this woman cry. Like, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back because I tell all of my mediums to do it, all of my students to do it. I'm fucking proud of myself. I showed up, I heard a name, I heard grandma that feels like a mom, died in her, mid-60s, cancer, lost all her hair. Like, the evidence that I was able to pull in the midst of all this chaos was ridiculous. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the whole point of this. Because when I'm so focused on controlling everything around me, I'm also controlling my brain and the access to what can be amazing fucking evidence. And instead, when I just open up and let it flow, it all fucking comes in. It all comes in. And so I think this is why a lot of people, a lot of mediums that I see, I never really understood it, but I think I get it now, do phone-only readings. Because if I'm doing phone-only readings, I could be giving you a reading right now, right? I don't think I would. I don't know if that's ethical. Although again, card channeling, it's amazing. But I could decide to go to the beach and give you a reading, right? I can go and sit in my 9 acres of land, sit in like the giant meadow in my 9 acres of land and just put my butt there. Oh my God, I'm just driving by a fox. Oh my God, it's a fox. I love card channeling, everybody. It was a fox. I love foxes. Sorry, it's super distracted. It's like my favorite animal. And that's what magic can happen, everybody. I don't even remember what I was just saying, okay? I can go and just be in the middle of the forest seeing a fox and know that fox is your spirit animal, right? Like, this is what I'm talking about. And so, like, how cool would it be to do phone readings and go hike a mountain and do the reading at the top of a mountain, right? Maybe I need to start offering this. Because I think trying to, maybe this is my new thing I want to test out. I want to shut down my ego and my brain as much as possible in these readings. Because every time I try to do something from an ego-centered perspective, it doesn't end well for my reading. I mean, my readings are always okay, good, great, but even still as a professional medium, people's faces when I'm looking at them in the Zoom call can throw me off. Because we're human, everybody, because we're human. They give me that little furrowed brow and I'm like, fuck, that made no sense. Crap, let me go back and look at that evidence. Let me say it differently because I can clearly see on their face it didn't land, right? Who doesn't do that? Every medium does that. I don't know. So I guess that's my challenge. And also apparently your spirit animal fox's challenge as well is, where can you challenge yourself and challenge your patterns in readings to make you uncomfortable so that you grow? How's that? Do you like that? I like that. I'm going to do the same too, because I think it's going to be hugely beneficial for me. And I think it's going to be hugely beneficial for you too. So give it a go. Get uncomfortable, see what you learn. And you can always go back to the comfort, but see what you learn from it, because there's a reason you've listened to this podcast. And so go challenge yourself, get uncomfortable, and grow. Sending you off, and I hope you have a lovely day. Take care.